A lot different to this. A little bit more, a few more cameras around. But yeah, I love coming to Adelaide. This ground is probably my favourite in the world when it comes to playing cricket. Yeah, I've got some extremely good memories here. So this and Newlands is my two favourite grounds. Yeah, it's mixed memories, but it's all different in terms of really good outcomes. As you mentioned, their Test debut was the nerves of making your Test debut, and the story of falling down the stairs and my shoe coming out of my foot and trying to get it back on, but struggled to get it back on, and almost kneeling down and getting a few good sentences from the crowd, and then walking out and actually saying to myself that it can't go much worse than it has already started. And then a great debut for myself, and then the next time came back here when there's obviously a lot of build up towards that Test match with the mint gate and stuff like that. So that was a different way of handling pressure. So for me, there was a lot of eyes on me during that build up, and it was more my character that was tested through that week. So just getting through that personally was great for me, and it showed me a lot of resilience for my own character, which was something that was really good to learn about my own personality. And as I said, now this time coming around, it feels a lot different. So maybe I should. No, I won't say it. But obviously, mentally for me, it will be to make sure that I'm still really switched on for the game tomorrow, fall back on that past successes that I've had, and hopefully it will be a good day for us as a team as well.
Is it strange for you behind you on the cricket field?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can draw it back to yourself, but also to the team, as you need to be firm in what you want to achieve out of it. So for me, that was pretty clear. When everything was going on, I focused on doing the same things that I was doing before. But really, my outcome for that week was to tell myself that if I get through this, it will prove a lot about my character. So similar for a team point of view, if you're going through something, it will be a good challenge for you, what the outcome or what do you want to achieve. So you focus on that rather than what you're going through.
Do you enjoy it?
I think it can cut both ways. When you come to, as I said, when you come to Australia, you feel like doing the press and the crowd and stuff. It's really a huge factor in Australia. So you as opposition have to know how to deal with that. It's a great place to come here as a young guy and learn all the other stuff that's happening away from the game. I think England and Australia is possibly the two best countries in terms of that. But yeah, if you understand that that's just part of the stuff that happens away from the game, and you've got a way to focus on your own personal stuff, then that's really important. But I also understand that with Australia, as good as the press are with, when they're playing well, the same thing happens. And England, when the performance is not there, then there's the same amount of hype around that as well. So I think the Australian team is used to that. For us, it's a little bit different in South Africa. I don't feel there is as much media around cricket. It's not as, I suppose, a lot of TV channels or print magazines and stuff or newspapers, but it's definitely the most in England and Australia.
Take on what you guys actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty. I always make sure that I have an idea of what's going on, whether it's within our own camp or in the opposition camp. So, me personally, I've always been a guy that does pay attention to those kind of things. I feel like not necessarily as much for the team, but as for me as captain, I have to know what's going on, and even when I speak to the press, I feel it's the right thing to just know what's going on. So I know I've been reading quite a bit about it. It's not ideal for them as a team. Obviously, as a team, you always say you want to focus on the cricket, but I feel now all the last few series that we played against Australia, it's always there's more than just cricket. Then as a team, you need to make sure you need to somehow make that shift and try to make the focus about cricket.
So you've got to make the most of it at the moment?
I believe you have to. I believe that, as I said, when you come to Australia or when you play South Africa at home, they are an extremely good cricket team. And I said the same thing when we played them in South Africa in the one-day series there, that when you do get an opportunity, and hopefully we can play good cricket again and put some pressure on them, really start well. But if you do get an opportunity against Australia where you can put your foot on the gas, it's really important to try and do that, because it's not often you get those opportunities.
Your review?
Yeah, great start. As I said, post-match, would have liked us to be a little bit more clinical in making sure that we had such a great start with a bat as well, that we would have possibly won that game 8 or 9 wickets in the shed, only 1 down. But that's okay. They bowled well as well, and there was a bit of assistance in the pitch. And in this game, we're still looking at combinations. For us, yes, we played really good in the previous game, and obviously the obvious thing would be to play the same team. But as I did mention, we constantly thinking how we can make sure we get guys either more experienced for the World Cup or still fine-tuning that balance where we believe we can have our perfect balance. Yeah, it's obviously the second spinner. Shamsi has bowled well against Australia, and he's an X-factor bowler as well. The challenge is obviously the conditions doesn't necessarily allow, especially I think the first 2 rounds where the ball doesn't spin much. I know in the Big Bash here, spinners does play a role, but then you have to try and slog the spinners, so it's a little bit different. So that's the one aspect. We've obviously got Chris Morris, who's an X-factor player. He comes into our balance when we look at playing 2 all-rounders together. And then we've got Dwayne Pretorius, which is another, probably a straight swap for Andile Petlaquaya at number 7. So those are the options that we're looking at. It is a very new role for us, the high performance manager or coach, if you can call it that. When it comes to the Proteas, we've got our selection panel, which consists of 4 or 5 selectors, the captain and the coach, which deals with pretty much selection policies the most. They have the overruling say. Captain and the coach they share a vote, but they have the overruling say when it comes to team selection. I do find that the same with Australia and South Africa. We still, there's still a board and there's still a team. So we're trying to make sure that is a little bit better in terms of relationship-wise. Me personally, want to make sure that our relationships is really good from the team up and also from the board down to the players, so that you feel that there is those conversations happening, even though if it's just this is what we're thinking it would need to happen from a team perspective or from a board perspective. I feel if you have that openness up or down, it's really good for your culture. So we're still trying to make sure we're getting that better. But in terms of the actual cricket director, it's more overlooking cricket in South Africa as a whole and the process. It hasn't got to do so much as with the Proteas itself.
Do you have a reason today?
I don't think it's our trainer has an eye on that. Our Greg King, which is our trainer, he makes sure with the physio they discuss which guys needs to take it easy at practice, and they'll let the coach or the captain know. But it's not necessarily a ball by ball over basis or over basis. It's more like this guy's played quite a bit of cricket of late. Perhaps at practice today he needs to take it easy. Yeah, so I don't think it's that far advanced, but there is a process like that.
So long as you want to bowl?
Yeah, as long as I want. I remember last year Rabada had an extreme year. He bowled, I think, 3 times the amount of overs that anyone else did, and that's purely because he was a weapon for me as a captain. He's a guy that when it going gets tough and the wickets are flat, you want your guy that has the best results in those scenarios. So therefore for him the decision would have been made after the season. Perhaps it's not a great idea for you to go and play cricket in the West Indies in the Caribbean League because you've got the IPL as well. So then those sort of discussions start happening. Maybe it's a good time for you to get some time in the gym, make your body strong, focus which one will be a big season for him again, obviously with all the series coming up now and then IPL and World Cup. So you use a window where you can work on your strength and your condition, and then when the season starts it's go time again.
It's coming from South Africa?
We're a team that's finding its feet in terms of our balance. I think we've got the right kind of cricketers. We've got the right skill in the cricketers that we want on the bus. The thing that we've been, I won't say struggling, but that's been a challenge for us the last year, it's just finding the perfect balance. I feel like we're always either a little bit light on the bowling or a little bit light on the batting side of things. So, and that happens when you lose a high quality class all-rounder. He fills the position of both. So we're just looking at, in Test cricket as well, you know, that guy who can play as a fourth seamer, who can bat at number 7 and score your runs, something like that. And the same thing in one-day cricket. You know, if we're looking at the kind of balance we have right now with the 4 quicks or the 3 quicks playing, your number 4th bowler is that all-rounder who needs to bat number 7. And if you're playing a long tail like we are, then your number 7 needs to be able to score some big runs as well. So we're just constantly trying to find who's the best guy available. There is guys who do a bit of both, and hopefully through this series, the Pakistan series and Sri Lankan series, we'll have guys put their name up to score a bit more runs in that number 7 position.
So conversely, looking at it forward, let's take advantage of it.
I think their bowling speaks for itself. I remember when they came over last time to South Africa, they had a really strong batting lineup, but they missed quite a few of their frontline bowlers in Stark, Hazelwood and Cummins. And we felt as the South African team that there was a slight opportunity for us there to capitalise on a bowling attack. Whereas this time around, they still have names on paper that can score runs and names that are very good batters around the world. But obviously from a results point of view, there is a bit of pressure on that batting lineup to score runs, and I think we're not very far off that as well. You know, our bowling unit seems to be clicking really well, but I do feel that from a batting point of view, top 6. We're looking for that top 6 that are constantly putting out runs and putting in performances that's saying pick me. As I said last time, that the 2 batters that they've lost in Smith and Warner is huge for them. We always felt in the past when we played them, if you get those 2 cheaply, that you could put real pressure on the rest of the batting lineup. So therefore, they do leave big holes.
Do you this for Australian cricket?
Not really. As we said, after Newland's Test match, obviously there's a lot that's happened since then. A lot of people has resigned, and I suppose a few people fired, or whatever you call it. Obviously the 2 bans. So over the last 6 to 8 months, a lot is changing in Cricket Australia. But obviously you can see that they're now trying to focus on getting a new team together, a new board or whatever, and just try and move forward from that. So however long that period will be their own decision. But yeah, it's never nice when it carries on for so long. I think everyone in their camp would just want to start fresh now and make sure they can focus on the cricket. It's difficult for me to comment on that. I think initially when it happened, we thought that was harsh on the players, because there's been so many players that's been in similar boats, but because I say it's difficult for me to comment on this, because I'm a South African, I'm not Australian. I wasn't here to understand how the people were affected by it or offended by it, and the backlash that we saw in South Africa was massive. So we could see that obviously it's probably bigger in Australia than it has been or will be anywhere else in the world. So for me to comment on whether they not be banned, I don't think it's my place.